Alright, Anissa from Invincible. So I'm on Twitter right now and I just keep seeing these posts that piss me off a little bit, just a tiny bit. So if you don't know who Anissa is, read a book, but if you don't know who she is or what she did, in the comics, she actually forces her way onto Mark from Invincible, she forces her way onto him. She pretty much, rapes him. That's what I'm trying to say. She rapes him. But at the same time, she does look cute. As you can see over here, she looks stunning, some might say. So the reviews on her are a bit mixed. Some people are absolute sims and they would love to be absolutely raped by her, and then you have people that absolutely despise her for being a rapist. Even though she's cute, they will not admit that. Since she's a rapist, it somehow means that she's ugly, and they will never admit it because she's a rapist. So there's this poll, right, that I saw. Which person would you crack the most? And then you have Monster Girl, Debbie Grayson, Anissa, and Adam Eve. Most people selected Anissa. But then you have the comments for this tweet are people just saying that killed all Invincible fans.
You need to get the fuck away from me right now.
I hate Invincible fans and people like this. They are just absolutely despising the Invincible fandom for selecting Anissa. And it's not just this tweet that I saw, it's a bunch of other tweets. Someone saying that, oh hey, Anissa looks great, but someone else says that she's a rapist, yo. And she's evil. I don't care if you've never read the comics, you only saw her from the show and you have no idea that she's actually a rapist. If you talk about her, I'm just gonna assume that you've read the comics and that you actually like the fact that she's a rapist. Like, most of these people that selected Anissa, they probably don't know that she's a rapist. They probably never read the comics, they've only watched Invincible from the show and they don't know about it. But I'm just here to point out the hypocrisy in the Invincible fans, because there is stuff that doesn't make any sense to me. The only most hated character from Invincible is Anissa. I've never seen anyone hate Omni-Man for being such a monstrous psychopath who killed thousands in the Chicago accident. I've never seen anyone talk about how Conquest is such a monster for killing people, in which I'll get to him later in a second. And I've also never seen anyone talk about how Debbie is such a slut for choosing Omni-Man over her perfect human boyfriend, Paul, who could easily defeat Thrag if he tried. She just immediately left Paul to go back to her psychopathic, murderous husband that killed millions and called her a pet. I don't see anyone making fun of her for that, but she's not what we're here for. And then you have someone such as Anissa, who probably killed the least amount of humans compared to Omni-Man and Conquest. And I know some might argue and say that, oh well, you have rapists, it's a bit more inhumane and cruel compared to murder. When you murder someone, the person just dies. They don't know what happened to them, or they know what happened to them, but that's before they die. When they die, they just died. They don't remember what happened to them because they're fucking gone, as opposed to rape. And then you have rape, for instance, which is, a bit more cruel and inhumane than murder, because when you rape someone, they become traumatized for life and they have to live with what happened to them for the rest of their existence on this putrid earth, as opposed to murder. But then you have someone such as Conquest, for instance, a guy who literally gets the gig from killing and torturing people. I kid you not. This motherfucker, if he saw a pregnant lady one day, he would literally stick his fist up that woman's uterus, grabs the fucking fetus, and eats it right in front of his mother. And then he proceeds to grab the woman's heart from her chest, pulls it out and eats it right in front of her. So now both the fetus and the mom are dead. He'd probably do that. He almost did that to Oliver before Invincible saved him. And he also almost did something horrible to Oliver yet again in his rematch, but yet again Invincible stopped him. But if no one stopped him, he would have absolutely obliterated Oliver, which is a kid. In the show he's like a 1-year-old or something like that. In the show he's like a 1-year-old or something like that. I forgot how old he is in the show. He tortures people, right? He likes to eat hearts. That's literally one of his favorite hobbies, one of his favorite delicacies, hearts. And yet I don't see a single motherfucker saying that how he's such a monster that deserves to be put down like an angry, ferocious dog that he is. No, I only see people just power scaling him and being like, oh my god, he's so evil and strong. I wonder how he would fare against my favorite superhero of all time. You know what, let me go on Reddit and check it out. And then you have someone such as Anissa, for instance, yet again, which people just keep calling her out for being such a rapist and she deserves to die, and having the same thing that happened to Mark happened to her because of her heinous crimes. And by the way, speaking of rape, that motherfucker Conquest, let's not forget that he's a Viltrumite. And if you all know one thing about Viltrumite, it's the fact that when they mate with someone, they force their way onto other people. So then you're telling me someone such as Conquest, who probably raped many Viltrumite women in his entire long, miserable 5,000-year-long life, he has probably at least raped a couple dozen of Viltrumite women. Just look at this thing. You cannot tell me that this guy didn't at least rape one Viltrumite bed in his entire lifetime. and yet I don't see anyone just making fun of him or pointing out how he's such a monster for raping people. I mean, I know that we don't officially know that he raped anyone. It doesn't say that in the comics, but we can all take a pretty good guess that he probably did it at least once or twice in his life. And let's be honest, there's not a single woman in his planet that can force their way onto him. He's gonna be the one that forces his way onto people, not the other way around. But anyways, back to what I was talking about first. You know, people have been so desensitized from watching all those cartel executions, those terrorist executions, and years of shooting people in GTA 5, to the point where now rape somehow seems much more inhumane than ripping someone in two pieces. I mean, like, make it make sense, damn it. Oh man. You know, I just finished off the video and I was scrolling through Twitter for a second time and I saw this poll. Who has the hairiest ass between all of these three? I'm guessing my boy Thrag. Oh, I guessed wrong. I don't know, he looked menacing in this photo. I thought he just didn't give a fuck about how his ass looked. Oh man.